would you say that your life is under control? That you have a sort of a healthy attitude about all of these things? The desire for acceptance by others. How strong is that desire that you have, that you want to be accepted by everybody else? The desire to be loved by others. Do you want people to love you? That is, have a close relationship. What about desires for all types of pleasure? Does that characterize you? That just whatever is fun, whatever makes you feel good for the moment, that's what you're looking for? What about sex? Do you have sexual desires that are outside the will of God? We're living in a very sexually oriented society. And Paul lived in a society that was a cesspool of immorality.
Every day, all day in our lives, we battle internal desires that are cultivated by external pressures and attractions. And our inclination will often be to indulge in temporary pleasures. Remember, it said of Moses that he chose to suffer affliction with the people of God rather than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. There's something about sin that is pleasurable. And the allure of sin and the enticement has then to be addressed, enabled by the Spirit, guided by the Scriptures, producing within us the fruit of self-control. The nature of self-control we need to understand. The nature of self-control we need to understand. What is it that the Bible is talking about here? It's not talking about external moral influences. External moral influences like, for example, just say no, can partially condition our behavior. But they cannot eradicate from our sinful hearts the fundamental flaw in our moral makeup. They may educate, but they cannot eradicate. And when you think about that, you realize how important it is that we understand that what Paul is talking about here, again, and don't let's forget, he's talking about fruit. Self-control is the Spirit-enabled ability to avoid excesses and to stay within the God-given boundaries. It is Spirit-enabled, Word-guided, if we might add that too, to avoid excesses and to stay within the God-given boundaries. So that we obey the Bible, we're enabled by the Spirit, and then we cultivate the skill, and yes, I think it is in some measure a skill, of living a thoughtful and a careful life in which we do what is right despite our desires. Then we do what is right despite our desires. Because remember, the desires that are within us, you go into chapter 6, and Paul makes it clear, he says, whoever sows to the flesh reaps. Whoever sows to the Spirit reaps. Do not be deceived, he says, God is not mocked. You will reap exactly what you sow. So the Spirit of God at work within us, producing this element in us, enables us to do just that.
What's your problem? Temper? Impatience? Sex? Being honest? Self-control? Your thought life? Everyone has skeletons and they don't always stay in the closet. You want to do right, but you do wrong. You want to choose obedience, but you choose sin. Sometimes you'd almost swear you were a split personality, a walking civil war. Proverbs 25:28. Like a city that is broken into and without walls is a man who has no control over his spirit. Like a city that's broken into without walls. And then the city was populated and was defended and grew and found safety and protection. But the wall that's missing is the wall of self-control. And when it's broken into, when there isn't a wall, your self, your flesh, kicks in. Without the wall, and take away the work of the Holy Spirit, let's just go with the flesh, the stuff you're born with, your way of thinking, your will, your impulses. Let's look here at the outcropping of the flesh. 16 reads in Galatians 5, I say, walk by the Spirit and you will not carry out the desire of the flesh. Self-control. Do you see it? The fruit of the Spirit. When the Spirit is in operation, the work of the Spirit, and when He is in control, He dominates the flesh. I run. Don't you love that single pronoun? I run in such a way as not without aim. I box in such a way as not beating the air. I buffet my body. Isn't that great? He's putting himself on the line. I buffet my body means to make black and blue on the face, under the eyes. I punch myself. I get up early. I go at it hard. When I'm tempted to eat too much, I say no thanks. When I'm tempted to look in the wrong direction, I stop. I buffet my body.